Hey guys, Max Scoville here for Rev3 Games, and I'm with Brian Allgaier, who is a creative director for Insomniac Games, and you guys are showing off your latest, your greatest, Fuse, which some people may know by what it was initially unveiled as, kind of, aka Overstrike?
That's right.
What happened there?
Well, we released a trailer back in 2011, and it was called Overstrike. And with every game that we develop, they go through changes and evolutions. You know, Ratchet & Clank used to be about a girl with a stick. And Resistance was a World War I shooter, being a World War II shooter before it ended up being Resistance. So with Fuse, essentially, as we were developing the game, we realized that the heart of this game, the thing that fuels the story, that drives the weapons, is this alien substance called Fuse. And it was best to call the name Fuse.
And what does this alien substance do?
Well, it's this great thing where it will, when mixed with any natural substance, it will cause it to be unstable and wreak havoc. It tends to be violent by nature. So, a good example.
Just like video games.
Right.
That sounds. You guys are known for having really great weapons in your games, so it's kind of. This sounds like you have pretty much magic goo to play with here.
Yeah, that's right. We were very excited about taking our weapons further and really going beyond what we had before as we were developing it early on. And once we discovered Fuse and how we could take this alien substance, mix it with anything, and wreak havoc, it really opened up our minds and made us be, essentially inspired us to be more creative with our weaponry.
Very cool. And this is, of course, four-player cooperative. It can be played single-player, but you are with sort of a squad of dudes.
Yes, it's always going to be a team-based experience, whether you're playing it single-player, two-player, three-player, or four-player. And you can play two different modes. There's the campaign mode, which is more story-driven, and the echelon mode, which is round-based. Okay,
so it's sort of like a wave-based kind of thing.
That's right.
And you've got different. You've got sort of a mini boss and a boss. It's 12 rounds, and then everything in the middle there is just randomized, right?
Yeah, exactly. And the idea is that we always want to make sure we end on a big dramatic moment with the bosses. Have a boss in between, but you never know what you're going to get between the bosses.
Well, what are some examples of what we'd get between the bosses?
So there's 6 different objectives. There's the critical drop, which is a supply drop that you have to fight enemies to get supplies for your team. There's the countdown mode where you've got a fuse cell, you have to transport it to a location, and you really have to use some teamwork to protect that team member who's got the fuse cell. Even though they can still shoot, they definitely need your help. And then we've got Carnage mode, which is this intense mode where you're just fighting these waves of enemies, and you really just have to take all the enemies out. We've got Prime Threat, which is that boss mode at the very end where you're fighting an enforcer or a whistler. We've got that high value target, which is the mini boss, which are those heavy guys. They're like the lead foots and the lead fires that you have to take down by shooting a weak spot in their back. And then we've got Hot Zone, which is a fuse cell location that you need to defend and take out as many enemies as possible while keeping your fuse weapons powered.
Okay, so it just kind of keeps you on your toes. There's always something different going on.
You don't know what to expect.
Yep. It's like a party game, but with guns and stuff. Who are you up against? Who are the bad guys in this game?
It's a faction called Raven. They're a paramilitary organization who are after Fuse. In the story, there's the Fuse source, and they've acquired it, and Overstrike 9 needs to track them down and get the Fuse source from them. Overstrike 9, which is the name of the team, travels from location to location all around the world to these exotic locales to search for the Fuse source.
So it's sort of maybe kind of a tiny bit like G.I. Joe, just a little bit.
There's a lot of inspiration there.
Maybe a little bit, tiny bit.
Right,
okay. You guys cited Mission Impossible, Ghost Protocol, Ghost.
That's right. Yeah,
Mission Impossible, Recon, and then District 9.
That's right.
So you got the weapons from one, and it's kind of this, it's kind of fun sci-fi military kind of thing. What are the characters like in the game? Because I didn't get a sense of that yet.
Well, each of the characters kind of their personality matches their playing style. So Dalton Brooks, he usually uses brute force to solve most of his problems. That fits really well with him having the mag shield to be able to blast enemies down. Naya Devereaux is a little bit more closed off, a little bit more solo, so she tends to, it works well with her cloaking, being able to kind of run into the group and stealthily kill enemies. Izzy Sinclair doesn't really like people too much, but the funny thing about her is that she's got this med beacon that she can use to heal teammates.
That is handy. I died quite a bit, so wish she'd been around.
Jacob Kimball was an ex-police officer before he joined Overstrike, and he's oftentimes believes in the end justifies the means, so he finds his own kind of code of justice that he uses. And then, of course, he's got the arc shot, where he can pin enemies to walls and then kill them with burn damage.
I do like the sound of that. That's good. So you guys have, I think what's been shown off kind of initially is very much just very gameplay heavy, putting that foot forward. But we are looking at a story here, right?
Exactly.
It's kind of Saturday morning cartoon fodder type of thing, action movies.
I wouldn't call it Saturday morning cartoon. I mean,
Okay.
certainly
No.
we have a lot of inspiration from other stories. You know, we've been inspired by, of course, Mission Impossible, where you have this team-based mode where there's both the team versus the antagonist, but then there's also some conflict within the team. Each of our characters are motivated by, we're very motivated by staying true to our characters. We don't do things for the sake of a joke. It's really coming from who they are, and so we like to play off those dynamics between characters. But yeah, essentially they're tracking down this news source, and the stakes are really high. I mean, this is a global threat where they need to travel to all these locations and find it.
Sounds fun. Sounds like a good video game. Now, you obviously there's a lot of emphasis on competition. Are we going to see split screen in here at all?
Something we're not talking about just yet.
Okay, and we do know that there is a sort of there's the competitive mode, but what about a competitive mode?
Again, we're not
Top
talking about
secret still?
Echelon and campaign. Yeah.
When is Fuse looking for release?
It's going to be spring 2013 on the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3.
And any plans for PC release at all?
I'm not announcing that.
All right.
at this moment. You're asking a lot of tough questions.
I don't know. What about Wii U? Is it coming to Neo Geo? Have you thought about Wonder Swan? PlayStation Vita?
Maybe?
Cricket noise? I don't know. Anyway, Brian, thanks so much for talking.
Thank you, Max.
Fuse looks great. Take
Thanks a
care.
lot.
Stay tuned for the rest of our coverage right here on Rev 3 Games.